What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be recreating Sanji's curry from episode 133. I am excited to recreate this because One Piece is one of my top 3 favorite animes. With that being said, let's dive into this recipe. Let's make Sanji and Taijo's curry from episode 133 of One Piece. Also be on the lookout for Tony Chopper and let me know if you find them in the comments. To start, we're going to need an array of vegetables and a fruit to make this curry, but first we must tackle our beef broth. You can make 8 cups of homemade beef broth, or you can just buy 8 cups from the store. I only had 4 cups, so I've added 4 cups of water to my 4 cups of beef broth, and I'm going to be adding in 3 chicken bouillon cubes to this, so we're going to have a mixture of beef and chicken broth. Once your beef broth and water mixture has come to a boil, all you have to do is drop these bouillon cubes in and let them fully dissolve. Now I'm just setting aside my beef broth and chicken broth to be used later. Now let's tackle our vegetables. First I'm starting with a carrot, removing both ends, and then I'm simply just going to peel this with a potato peeler. From there, all I'm going to do is take my carrot and perform these kind of angled cuts, giving it a 180-degree turn after the first cut, making another angled cut. This is going to provide for a nice chunky bite of carrot in the end product of our curry. Once our carrot has been chopped, we're going to set that aside and then tackle our yellow onion. Now I just like to cut both ends off here, cut it in half, and remove the peeling from this onion. And then notice how I'm making my cuts here. I'm not cutting all the way through, almost to the very end of this, and once I have this done, all you have to do is turn your onion 90 degrees and you can get a nice dice off of this onion. So dice this onion as small as you can. Once your onion has been completely diced, set it aside in a bowl and we can move on to our potatoes. Now for my curry I used about 1.5 potatoes. I found that to be the perfect amount. Now to chop your potatoes up, simply set the potato on its side, cut it in half, and then cut it into chunks. Now I found my chunks to be a little bit big here, so I ended up cutting those chunks in half. Now we're going to need to bring some acidity to this dish, so we're going to be taking 4 smaller tomatoes and cutting some X patterns into these. What this is going to do is when we boil these, it's going to make it really easy to peel the skin off. Add your tomatoes to 10 cups of boiling water. You are going to want to save this water once these are done, but you're just going to let these boil for roughly 30 seconds. Immediately rinse these with cold water to prevent them from continuing to cook. And as you can see, it is ultra easy to peel these tomatoes. So go ahead and peel all of your tomatoes. And then from here, I'm just going to cut this in half and remove the stem side of these tomatoes. And from here, all you want to do is remove the seeds and kind of fleshy, mushy inside out of these tomatoes. What's left should be the firmer parts of the tomato, and you just want to roughly chop this stuff up into bite-sized portions. These will shrink up a lot when cooking, so keep that in mind. Now we are going to add our onions over high heat just as the episode specifies, and we're going to cook these until they are nice and soft. Once they are soft, I'm going to be adding in a small pat of butter for some extra flavor and incorporating that with my onions, tossing it around, and then immediately lowering this to a low heat just as specified in the show. While that's cooking down, let's talk about our meat. We are going to need a marinade comprised of 2 cloves of garlic, which I'm just peeling by smashing with a knife here, and then cutting up both of my cloves into nice thin slices. From there, all that you want to do is use this knife movement to finely mince your garlic. You can kind of pull it back to the middle, get it nice and neat, and then continue. Now we're going to peel some ginger with a spoon, and you need about an inch of this ginger. And once the skin has been removed, all you have to do is finely grate this stuff, and I'm using the world's smallest cheese grater. Today I'm using a chuck top blade steak, which is more suitable for a curry or a stew. Feel free to get a sirloin or ribeye if that's in your budget, but I'm just using this, and we're going to salt and pepper both sides and then kind of cut it into these larger strips, which we will then cut into bite-sized pieces, just like you see here. Now we're going to add our pound of meat to a bowl, and we're going to be adding our garlic and ginger as well as 5 ounces of yogurt. Yes, yogurt. We're going to use this to marinate it, and this acid from the yogurt is going to make the meat even more tender. At this point, your onions should be nice and lightly golden brown. I don't think in the show that they used deeply caramelized onions, being that they only used 1 onion. This would be a lot smaller quantity if we deeply caramelize these, so I think that this is relatively accurate. This is the final step of prep. We are going to be adding in 225 grams of butter to our large pan that our onions cooked in, and then we're going to slowly mix in 225 grams of flour. It should look like this when it's done. Then we're going to add half a cup of curry powder. Try to get a lighter colored, more turmeric based curry powder if you can. We're going to stir this together and then add in 3 tablespoons of garam masala. In total, you are going to be cooking this flour in for about roughly 5 to 7 minutes, ensuring the harsh flavors get cooked off. And in the end, it's going to look thicker like this than a normal roux and not all that appetizing. But I promise the flavor is there. Now to that 10 cups of tomato water that I know you saved, we're going to be adding our potatoes and carrots back in and cooking them until tender. And while your water is still boiling, go ahead and add in your curry roux so it can dissolve. Mix that around, helping it dissolve, and then we can add in our beef stock from earlier. Bring that up to a boil and add in your tomatoes, followed by your cooked onions. Then mix everything together, making sure everybody becomes friends, and just let this boil for about a minute and then bring this down to a nice gentle simmer. I've let my curry cook down for about 15 minutes now, and I'm adding in my meat, and we're going to let this cook for about 30 more minutes while simmering, ensuring that it cooks down. Many factors go into how well your curry will cook down. If you have it at a rolling boil like this, it'll go much faster, but I think simmering does better. You want it to be about this thick here. Mine is cooked down for about 30 minutes, and we're going to remove this scum off the top. Taste this for salt and add it accordingly. And we're going to give this a quick taste test. It's missing something. The apple. Yes, an apple. In Japanese curry, it is very common to have grated apple in your curry. So we're going to be taking 1 medium-sized apple here, grating it over our curry. Let it cook for about 3 or 4 minutes to soften it up a little bit, and that is it. Now our curry is done, and I think that this would impress any high-ranking Marine official. As you can see, a lot of time and effort went into this, so consider subscribing to my channel and drop a like on it. Now, let's give this curry a taste test. Alright everybody, the curry is done. I have it here in a bowl. I've already tried the meat and the potatoes and the carrots out of this. It's absolutely amazing. The vegetables are nice and tender, and the meat is exactly what you would think it would be. It's kind of got like that fall apart beef stew texture to it. Anyways, let's give this curry a try. Alright, that is extremely good. It's got a nice balance of flavors. The saltiness is perfect. It's not too salty. It's also not too sweet. I was actually kind of worried how the apple was going to be in there, but even just getting a little piece of one, it adds a little bit of crunch and a little bit of sweetness to this on top of the acidity. I don't know, there's just not one flavor that comes through more than the other. It's got a nice balance of flavors all the way around. I would give this curry a 7 out of 10. I'm sure that you could fine tune it if you wanted to. I personally would probably not make this again myself just because of how much time and effort it took. I'm sure there are better recipes out there, but I wanted to follow the one-piece recipe and see how it was. It is extremely flavorful though. It turned out absolutely great. I give it a 7 out of 10 no matter what. So if you love one piece, you can definitely recreate this the exact way. But I'm sure there are much faster Japanese style curries out there, and I would lean towards making one of those next time. With that being said, I don't think we would be upsetting any of the higher up Marine officials by serving them this. It is extremely good. I personally am not a huge fan of curries all around anyways, so I'm a little bit biased for flavors like turmeric and garam masala. I kind of have to be in the mood to eat it, so that's one reason that I'm not like, wow, this blew me out of the water, but it was very good, and I would definitely eat it again. Probably just want to recreate it this exact way. Alright everybody, and that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and drop a like on it, because a lot of time and effort went into making this, and consider subscribing if you want to see me cook more fantasy foods like this, as well as just normal recipes. I'm posting good food here every single week, and with that being said, I will see you all on the next one.